Yo, 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 and welcome to Studio Geo4 channel. In this video, we have made a highlight of when Maniac, the CS analyst and professional former player, was in the studio. We talked a little bit about his personal life, how it is to be live as an analyst, and also about how he, as an analyst, can really impact the viewers when he's on the desk and hosting the CS tournaments. It was really fun and really interesting to hear about his life and how it is to be traveling the world and being behind the scenes. So make sure you check this one out, and I hope you like it. No, but ladies and gentlemen, welcome to all the people from Maniac Stream. Welcome. Lovely to see you all. I was just sat creeping in the chat a little bit, watching both some German speakers and some French speakers. So what would you say is your native language? French?
French. Mother tongue is French.
Yeah. And how much German do you know?
Comfortable enough to have a conversation, but don't ask me about politics or philosophy. I won't be able to keep up.
Okay.
But comfortable enough for a conversation.
And you feel like it's still staying there? You don't lose it through time, like if you're not using it?
No, well, that's part of my sort of a personal life, but I am currently in a relationship with someone who's German speaking. So gotta work on that.
Okay.
Gotta work on that, you know, when the in-laws are coming.
So you have
the family's coming over,
right?
You have to speak German, you have to practice.
Of course. No, but welcome to everyone. As you can see, we're here in Studio Geo4. Welcome to you as well. Welcome to Dubai.
Thank
I hope
you.
you and your girlfriend will have a lovely stay. Enjoy the sun and the warm weather. How is Switzerland right now?
It is much worse than here.
Okay.
It is much worse. I think when I left, we had to basically dress for Dubai, but we were freezing our asses off just getting to the plane because it was maybe like 2 degrees Celsius or 3 degrees Celsius.
That's the classic one. Well, you're going to Copenhagen soon, I gather, so
I'm used to it.
You're used to the winter weather.
I'm used to Copenhagen.
How is life treating you so far from 2020 and 2024? You're happy?
Yes. I would say I'm in a very good place in life currently. I think it's important to realize when that happens. It's not always the case, but currently lights are green overall. It's been a pretty hectic start of the year. I was away from home for about 5 weeks. So, of course, you use a tremendous amount of energy, but I feel very, very blessed, both professionally and personally. Life is good, yeah.
Very good to hear. I'm happy for you. I also wanted to touch on that actually, but maybe we can dig into that deeper, how life as an analyst actually is, and also coming from a professional playing career to then transitioning into the analyst world. Was that like something that was natural for you, or did you have to use some years or months to adapt to being on the desk instead of being in front of all of the cameras?
Oh, well, I mean, I would say there was some element to it that was natural in the sense of having a real interest for the game, and not just the tactical of the game, but also the stories of like players and the emotions related to the game. I think this was always with me, so that fueled me from the very beginning. But then when I started doing desk work at the very beginning, when I stopped in 2018, it was a bit like touch and go. I was trying to figure out, okay, is this something for me? Is this going to work? Are people going to like what I do? Am I going to like it? So for a while, I was a little bit in the purgatory where it's pretty rough because there's a lot of competition. And by competition, I mean a lot of analysts for not that many jobs, and you don't really know whether you're going to get the contracts. So I would say the first year and a half was pretty stressful. But eventually, I was lucky enough to sort of punch through this rough period or rougher period. And then I started to establish myself a little bit more with TOs. And when I got there, I really started to realize that, one, I can dare to be me. I can be a bit more out there. I can take more risks. I can enjoy myself a bit more. And from this moment on, I've basically started seeing it as a playing career in the sense of I have so many years in front of me and I can do XYZ in my career as an analyst. I can try to do as many majors as possible. I can try to do as many Cologne as possible, as many Copenhagen as possible. And I am thrilling now. I'm thrilled and thrilling in the job. Very, very lucky to be there.
So the passion is still what drives you every day to get on the desk or watching the matches. You were just talking about the Liquid playing, for example. So you like keep in touch with the game as well. You watch all the tournaments, smaller one, bigger ones.
Well,
you have to stay up to date with what's going on.
Yeah. So I wish I could tell you that I watch every single Counter-Strike game that I'm not working on.
There are also so many
there's a constraint of time,
right?
and it is impossible. So when I'm home, first of all, it's pretty rare that I get to witness like elite events without working them in the last few years.
Yeah.
But I would say if it happens and if it's an elite event, I would definitely have a look at it just because of curiosity, because I'm interested. And for smaller events, either I have the time or I'll do a catch-up work before working the next one, and I'll say, okay, this and this events have happened. I didn't cover these events. Let's deep dive. Let's maybe rewatch a couple of games, see what happened. But to answer your question, I'm gonna be moving on my 6th year as an analyst, and I feel the exact same passion and drive for any high-level competition. So it's, in that sense, it's really a blessing, because sure, there are days where you are exhausted, and there are days where you're tired, and you would maybe just wish to stay in bed or whatever. That happens to everybody. But in essence, the thrill that you feel when you're like walking in Lanxess or in Roll Arena or at a major playoff, that doesn't change. It's not going away.
So what metrics do you kind of measure your, I guess it's not performance in that sense, like before when you either got a win or a loss, or you had great frags on the scoreboard. So do you now use just your feeling of performing as being the entertaining part, providing good content and being a good host on the desk, and also giving that analytical depth for other people?
Well, it is very tricky when you think about it, because the actual real metric, which I don't have access to, would be to say, hey, Maniac, when you are on the desk, here is how many people are staying between games to listen to what you have to say.
Yeah.
That would be the actual metric. If you really want to be cynical and like down to the numbers, and this is how you could actually value the contribution of any sort of broadcast talent.
Yeah.
I don't have access to these numbers. I do not know them.
But you're still at the tournament, so we're assuming they're good.
That's my point. I can only operate in like indirect factors, because I don't really know how many people are just saying, oh wow, like Maniac's working the event, I'm gonna stick around and listen to what he's got to say. I don't have access to that. So all I can rely on is tournament organizers to keep on hiring me and showing me that they want to build a future together. They want to have me at their events and giving me feedback on how things can get or can be done better. That's one side of the coin. Another one is obviously, I know that in the broadcast talent community and in the Counter-Strike community in general, people can be very afraid of like the Reddit and the HLTV forums. I personally read all of it. I read all of them. I've decided a long time ago to sort of exercise them and not give them too much power. And just if there is a thread about me, I'm going to go and I'm going to have a look. And in general, if someone has something to say about me that is negative, I'll take the time to read it and consider, okay, like, does he have a point? Or does she have a point? Or is it just someone angry saying some stupid stuff? And if that's the case, I can move on, right? It's fine. But every now and then someone will come in with a real, like, objectively interesting feedback. And you say, oh, wait a minute now.
And you can take it in.
Yeah, he's got a point, you know? Like, he's got a point. Maybe I could try and do this a bit more. Maybe in this case, I wasn't too fair. So yeah, TO's relationships, community voices in general, and also your self-evaluation, right?
Of course.
And that, I think, has to remain important, feeding a sense of pride.
When the red live button stops flashing and you feel like you've done a good job, right?
Now I think I've gotten to that point where when the camera stops or when we sent a game, I am pretty capable of saying, okay, this was a decent segment.
Yeah.
This was an excellent segment. Or, damn it, like I'm upset about
transitions and whatnot, right?
Yeah, I think
like a whole production.
It's a whole production.
That's
and
cool.
What is sometimes a little bit invisible or hard to capture for people outside is that we are operating under super strict time, like constrict. Sometimes we have 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes max to make a point. So I wish I had 30 minutes to talk about all of the reasons why Falcons did this and Astralis happened and this and that. That's not the case. You always have to, and it's part of becoming better at this job, is you have to go to the essence. You have to speak in simple terms and like attack it.
That's where it takes a good anchor man or anchor woman, right?
I guess.
I've only had the pleasure of being like in a studio twice with Zulu, which is Danish.
Okay.
They were broadcasting on Danish television for Blast. And I felt that as well, where you kind of want to go into details with the clock was ticking, this grenade, and then they kind of wrap it all up, and you can sense that they are stressing you a little bit, right? One note I actually wrote down was, how do you feel that you can manage to not criticize a player or a team without throwing them completely under the bus? Because when you're on the desk, you obviously are the voice of the production, and people, the viewers, will listen to you. And I feel like some casters, especially the tournaments that are not live or not on site, being like online events and qualifiers and whatnot, I feel like some casters, they sometimes are very harsh, specifically to players and also teams, whereas they might not know the whole story. Is this something you think about when you're on desk, to not be too harsh, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. I would say it can be a tricky line to walk, because it's a give and take between the harshest I will be, the more impactful will my statement be, right? So on one hand, if I attack a team or a player very strongly, I'll create the stronger reactions in the audience. I can do a 5-line or a 5-sentence paragraph about why I think Zaiwu played below his usual performance, or I can just say, "God damn, this was shit from him." And one or the other hits differently, right? From like how you recept it as a viewer, it hits differently. So that's something you have to take in consideration. But also, I try to maintain what I would like to call like intellectual honesty, which is I am not going to say something that is buzzy if I don't think it's right. So you kind of have to walk the line, and I think you also have to decide as a broadcast talent which line you want to go into. And not everybody has to do it the same way. Some people are fine with like attacking a bit more straight, even though sometimes they definitely miss parts of the stories or some angles. But that's the way they want to do their job. That's the way they want to approach it. And they definitely have an audience for it. From the very beginning, I've decided to be very strict with the words I use. Whenever if I'm going to be very critical with a player or a team, then it's going to be
backed up.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what I'm going to say and why I'm going to say it, and I have the numbers, and I have the stories, and I have the basis for it. I'm not just going to say whatever flashy statement because it's going to get me 200 retweets.
No,
that's not my way of doing it. But
probably
some other people have it like that.
That's probably the right way to do it. I guess we've all have been under the radar a little bit if you've played a poor map.
Me too. I know what it is to be on the receiving end of that.
Yeah.
It's happened to me.
It's rough. Another point is day in the life of a pro analyst, pro desk host. What does it look like when you're at home? I know you just said you travel a lot, and I even assume that you as an analyst and being on the broadcast, you even travel more than the players sometimes?
That's rough. Arguably, you could say sometimes teams come in at a certain point in the competition and they might leave it earlier, whereas we are here from the very first day to the very end, and arguably before the very first day, because we have to do rehearsals and we have to shoot some content. So yes, I think last year we made some calculations at home. I was away 53% of the year. So that's an average over the totality of 2023. Basically spend more than 3.5 days out of the week away.
Yeah.
So when I'm at events, I will say my schedule is pretty intense. I always try to get in like a gym session in the morning and then get a good breakfast, then go to work. And basically it's just a matter of, do I get some extra hours to chill or do I not? Do I go straight to bed and then you move on with the prep? You just have to try to sneak in the preparation wherever you can. That's the at event timeline. And when I'm home, I think the difference between having like a 9-to-5 job and what we do is that when I'm home, that I definitely want to put energy into spending time with my family, my loved ones, my parents, my friends.
Of course.
And it can be draining because if I come back from 3 or 4 weeks of events, and I'm exhausted. You know, I've given it so much, but there are people at home who have been waiting for me and who want to do things, do activities. We're gonna go and see people. So I can't just say, let me turtle up in my room for a week. No, I come back, take a shower, and then off we go to whatever it is we want to do. And I do it with pleasure. But I would say, if you ask me like what a normal day looks like, then an hour of sport in the morning, breakfast, and then I will probably stream a few hours. If I have free time and I have no other obligations, I'll stream for 3 or 4 hours. I'll grind all, gaming here and there, trying to get some points or whatever. And then in the afternoon, early afternoon, I'll do whatever admin task I have to do or chill eventually. And then when my significant other finishes work, then from 5 o'clock on, we'll do some activities together. I have a dog. I have a husky.
Nice.
Love that beast to death. Like, he's an amazing little dog. I love him too much. And so walks together. He loves to walk, so we go on like 1 hour walk around the neighborhood and try to enjoy life. Restaurants, hotels, that kind of stuff.
Would you say you're more of a home kind of person, or you also enjoy going out? You're saying, or you use the phrase "turtle in a shelf," but do you like being more out, or you like to stay in?
So I will say I'm never against like a good plan to go out, like restaurants. And also in Switzerland, we were very lucky because we have so many nice destinations inland where you can just say, oh, we're going to drive an hour and a half and then suddenly we're in the mountains and we're going to stay there for 2 or 3 days. I like to do that. But unfortunately, I'm not 20 anymore. So I can't really do the old like 5 a.m., the lights come on in the club and you're just like, oh, what's going on? I can't do that anymore. So if we go out and if we go to the restaurant or something, I'll be in bed by midnight. That's like a sort of my limit anymore.
That's good. That's when you're... How old are you again?
Well, I'll be 34.
34?
I'll be 34 in June.
You'll be 34 this year, okay.
Yeah.
I'm pushing 30 myself, so I'm definitely also...
So you know what it is.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. But it's good. Anything you want to point out that people may not know about you? Any fun facts? You have a dog. What's the dog's name?
My dog's name is called Lucky.
Lucky?
He's a Siberian Husky.
Nice. I love him as well.
He's a lovely dog.
With the blue eyes?
No, he's got brown eyes, and he also doesn't have the regular like color phenotype. He is a bit more dark haired than regular Huskies, but he's a pure breed Siberian. So whenever we meet people, they always ask like, "Hey, like what kind of dog is that?" So we always have to explain. I don't really know what to say. Like some random fun facts. I played Counter-Strike the first time 25 years ago. Played inverted sensitivity for quite a while.
Yeah, I actually saw that. I was doing
a lot of people
research,
are confused about it. Yeah,
and it actually said that you were fluent in French, German, and English, and then it said you played inverted mouse until 2017.
That's correct.
So you actually changed it at some point.
Yes. So the story is, when I was 9-year-old, I had an older cousin. He had probably 4 or 5 years on me, so he must have been 14 and 15 at the time. He introduced me to Half-Life, and Action Half-Life, and Team Fortress, and at the time Counter-Strike, and he was playing reverted y-axis on the mouse, like inverted sensitivity, right? And so when you were a kid and someone shows you a computer for the first time and they show you, hey, this is the game, look, this is how it works, you don't question it.
No.
You just say, oh, okay, so if I do this, it goes down, and if I do this, it goes up. Okay, that makes sense, let's go. And then eventually I played with that setting for many, many, many years. And then in 2017, I was teamless for a while. And I actually just had like an intellectual curiosity. I just said, would I be capable of changing? Like just in terms of like neurocircuitry, would I be capable of changing that?
Were you then?
Well, I did. Because then when I played in LDLC again, 17, 18, I was playing normal sensitivity. But I guarantee you, the first 2 weeks were apocalyptic. It was horrible.
Oh, I can imagine the muscle memory.
Oh my God. Anytime you got surprised, your crosshair would just go straight in the sky.
You felt like your aim got better or worse? Or it got to the same point?
I wouldn't say it had any impact.
No?
Honestly, no. Because once you're past that just like adjustment period, it is the same. What did help a lot for me was to play a lot more of headshot only deathmatch, which wasn't really a thing when I was playing in Titan at the time, but then it was later on. So I played a truck ton of headshot only deathmatch, and that helped me a lot with like crosser placement, like vertically to be at the right place. That helped me a lot.
Nice. So inverted mouse is valid, guys. If you ever want to.
It is valid, yeah.
Just takes a what do you call it? Getting used to it period.
Yeah. I actually have an anecdote about it, because when I started doing LAN events when I was 13, 14 years old in Switzerland, and I sort of rose up through the ranks of Counter-Strike over there. And when I was very, very young, there was a some other teams in Switzerland. And one guy came to me one day and he said, "Hey, listen, you're never going to accomplish anything with reverse sensitivity. You're never going to be
And you wanted to
you're
prove
never
it
going to be
wrong.
good. You're never going to be a pro anything." And I sometimes just think about it again now that like Counter-Strike has been literally my life for 10 years plus.
And where is he now?
Well, I hope he's doing fine because he was not a bad person. He made this like outrageous statement that I can never do it if I have a invert sensitivity. Where the hell is that coming from? What does that even
Remember
mean?
there was an article back in Denmark and people were saying, oh, it was actually Danish military. And they were looking for drone pilots, I guess.
Yep.
I guess you would probably be pretty good at that. It's kind of a joystick.
Yeah, this is
isn't it?
Joy's idea.
And I think there was something to do with Astralis, and they did like a test of how good were esport athletes to doing the transitioning into drone piloting. So I think you would probably do well at that.
Well, maybe I should try my hand on the drone piloting at some point. Whoever wants to take the risk of letting me fly their property.